Alright guys, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Greenskins led by Leechlord facing off against the Dwarves, who shall be helmed by a House Cat of War here on the Battle for Itza. So certainly going to be settling this Grudge very quickly, one way or the other. So for the Dwarves, it's going to be a big, scary Air Force. We do have the gyrocopters with the steam cannons. There's going to be 2 of those because this was a tournament and they were limited to 2. Otherwise, you'd bring like 100 of them and basically would be unstoppable. So it is going to be 2 of the steam cannon and 2 of the brimstone gun variant, which honestly don't do as much damage, but are very good against low leadership factions. They have a -8 leadership debuff on their attack. So if you're playing Skaven, Greenskins, whatever, even against Beastmen potentially, right? You can use these to break positions, get rid of Frenzy, and do some work. So for the rest of the Dowie army, it is going to be bolt throwers, which are very, very good. After the recent buffs, excellent at just shooting large targets. So against Greenskins, it would be their skirmishers, their boar boys, their squigs, potentially chariots if you see them, or like Azag, but he's probably going to be on foot anyways. And the rest of the army is going to be long beards, so the old grumblers with some Iron Drake flamethrowers, gotta love it. We have the true king of 8 peaks. Okay, we got Belegar coming in. He's nothing fancy. He's just a good fighter. He's durable. He's cheap. And, what more do you want out of the matchup? That's basically going to be it. Yeah, the big epicenter of the build is going to be the Air Force in tandem with a couple Longbeards and Iron Drakes and a Bolt Thrower. So for Leechlord here and the Wog, it's going to be the Orc Boys, Savage Orcs, which obviously don't have the best AP, but they still punch through armor okay. And honestly, yeah, just for their price point, they do pretty well. It's going to be Orc Air Boys in the back to keep the gyrocopters honest. We do have the Night Goblin War Boss now. You got to watch out. This bad boy can rampage you and drag you down to the pit. So if one of the gyros gets a little bit close, for example, he's going to be able to rampage it and drag it into melee and potentially kill it, which looks like that might be what's going to happen right here. Is he going to do it? Is he going to rampage it? Oh, he wants it. He's running. So this guy's hoofing it. Now, the reason why he's on foot is I believe he does have stock. Let me see if he does. Okay, there's the rampage right there. He gets it. Now the gyrocopters with the brimstone guns going to be called into melee against their will, of course. The Durkid Swig. I just imagine him like getting a bag of mushrooms and like throwing it up to the pilots. Just nails him in the face. It's like some ridiculous shit. But gyrocopters, yeah, getting hammered pretty hard. Spider to Bad Moon going down as well. And the Durkid Squig Hoppers are able to get a ton of damage on the impact there. And that's a great, great start for the Greenskins. Because normally gyrocopters are one of those units that are very tough to deal with and it's hard to interact with them. And he did manage to get the brimstone gun only. Okay, so it wasn't one of the steam cannons, not quite as big of a catch, but it's not terrible either. On the other side, a Night Goblin Fanatic unit annihilated by the gyrocopters. So the gyrocopter Legion over there able to get a nice pick. So they're trading resources more or less. Somewhat even, I would say. But the Greenskins do have the 2 objectives. For Greenskin Magic, it is going to be Ere We Go and Fist of Gork, so just augmenting spells. And obviously, as you know, the Dwarves don't have access to any magic. So Long Drawings Slayer Pirates coming out, a very annoying unit. Probably could use a bit of a nerf on the Dwarf ROM. -10 melee attack is insane, right? Because even if there's 1 model remaining, it gives that debuff. It's pretty insane. So Greenskins moving up their archer line, probably to start shooting at the Iron Drakes. That would be the appropriate target for sure. Gyrocopters do secure the far side objective, but the Dwarves move up here on Old Itza, and objective 3 is going to be in the clutches of the Grudge Bearers here. High ground, we got some Fanatics guarding it. Now the Squig Legions are going to be popping out for Leechlord, so the little hopping mushroom people. I just played in a tabletop tournament, faced off against an all Night Goblin and Squig army. It's pretty fun. The Mangler Squigs. Oh yeah, that's probably what they're going to get, all right? Because Greenskins have an update coming soon, don't they? Yeah, most likely. Iron Drakes getting their cook on, though. Certainly a good old Deep South barbecue going on right here as the Iron Drakes shoot into the Orc Air Boys and are going to be diminishing their leadership. Belegar potentially going to be able to push him back, and the King of Carrick 8 Peaks going in and headbutting that Orc Shaman. He's definitely going to crush that guy in combat. He just flies past him, too, and takes down a couple of these Orcs who are trying to run. But overall, the Iron Drakes are cooking pretty well. They're getting some really nice shots in, but the Squigs are going to be colliding with the battle line, so here they come. Savage Orcs running through the fire and flames, and they definitely need to find a way to shut down these Iron Drakes, because those things are doing brutal damage against those Squigs. Now, as far as the far side goes, more Squigs. The Durkid Squig Hoppers have engaged. We do see the Air Boys. Probably what the Air Boys want to be shooting is, firstly, get these Iron Drakes offline, but then secondly, go after the Long Dong Slayer Pirates if they can. Another salvo of flames coming down from the skies as the Brimstone Guns unleash a pretty nasty volley into the Orc Air Boys. Only killing 1 model, but their leadership is going to be a little bit precarious here. And blasting charges coming out from the Dowie as they annihilate. Oh my god, Scorched Earth. We got the blasting charges and the bombardments coming down from the gyrocopters. They're using some futuristic tactics, that's for sure. They have the air support, they have the ground support, they got air power, they don't have sea power, I suppose. Although Dwarves do have some naval capacity in Warhammer Fantasy, right? Yeah, anyways, discussion for another day. Squigs, though, overwhelming the Dwarven flank here. We do see a Dwarf Warrior unit being hammered down by a Squig Hopper unit and a second Squig Hopper unit. So there's a chance that the Dwarves could lose this side objective that they did get. Oh my god, the gyrocopters that got caught earlier have come back. And they're going to start generating some good value, I would imagine. Looking in the middle fight, we do see the Night Goblin War Boss running away from Belegar. Belegar, you know, playing some yakety sax and Benny Hill as he chases down the Orc Shaman. Orc Shaman is a little bit faster than him by 1 movement speed, but he needs to keep running. It's going to be a perpetual micro. He does get hit in the back, takes about 300 damage right there. So if you can get that Orc Shaman, that's going to take away the disadvantage that the Dwarves have of not having magic. Getting rid of that would be quite good. Now we got some Orc Warboys being called in, and another Fermented Fungi going to get dropped, so it's going to get dropped like it's hot. And then the Orc Warboys can feast like the Heathen Kings of old. Granted, they might get cooked up by some of those flamethrower attacks. Okay, so we see the Rampage on the Gyrocopter here. It is one of the Brimstone guns, so that seems to be an intentional target here for Leechlord, feeling that the Leadership Discouraging is more impactful, which is probably true in this matchup. But the Gyro is getting hammered pretty damn hard. They're losing a lot of HP. They are out of the Rampage for now. There is going to be an There We Go going down, so 62 melee attack here on the Orc Warboys as they rip apart that Gyrocopter. Meanwhile, on the backside, the objective is captured by the Greenskins. So Leechlord doing a pretty good job swarming all up on the points here. As Housecat of War is pushed back a little bit, and the Squig Hoppers that did win that flank fight, they come around and they get on top of the Bolt Thrower, which it's going to take them a while to kill that. We do see Slayers here as well as the Slayer Pirates, who could probably turn around and deal those Squig Hoppers before the Dwarven crew falters. The Gyrocopters, still 3 of them on the table. 2 of them did kind of get partially shut down. This one's probably going to rout, but like the sad part is even if they come back, even with 7 models, they're still going to be very effective. Dowie with some spec ops up here. Some of the miners do manage to steal objective number 1. A couple Greenskin units here probably could use unsummons to make sure they have fresh units over the course of the entire game. Nice little bombing run right there. We do see the Gyrocopters dropping a fat steaming payload on the face of the Orc Arrow Boys. Honestly, Archers just like the speed at which Gyros can shoot and move, Archers just don't get the job done at finishing them off. But the Boar Boys are still fighting, and ammunition is going to start becoming an issue here for the Dwarven Air Force. Granted, these things are still kind of like chariots in melee, and tabletop they actually have impact hits. So when a Gyrocopter like charges you, it has like the same effect as a chariot to an extent. But it looks like the Gyros are being unsummoned, at least the ones that are out of ammunition. On the far side point, Squig's very, very cost effective here. They're able to nibble on these Dwarf Warriors, although the Flamethrower, I'm sure they don't appreciate that. Yeah, there's a couple of those Gyrocopter Flamethrowers up here, and they are going to be roasting these Squig Hoppers. Squig Hoppers low in leadership at 7. Orc Airboys trying to move in to provide some capture weight. And, oh wow, the Dwarves actually didn't get that objective. That's brutal. They were very close to flipping that, but it looks like they didn't quite get it done. Squig Hoppers coming back in to chase these guys off. And the Greenskins are up to a pretty substantial lead and do also have a value lead against the dreaded Dwarven Air Force. So we will see how this one unfurls here. Savage Orcs up on the high ground battling versus the 2 Slayer units. Talk about mega cost effective. Sure, they're going to have their stats diminished by the Long Dong Slayer Pirates of Carrick Dive Bar, but this is like, Slayers are okay against light armor, but like you don't want Slayers with their no armor to be fighting a hard-hitting unit like a Savage Orc. The Savage Orc are going to trade up into them super, super hard. And as a matter of fact, taking those Slayer Pirates to Pound Town, that's for sure. More Savage Orcs going to be intercepting Slayers here. That's going to be very problematic here for Housecat of War. They're going to get charged by these Savage Orcs, which are pretty similar in speed, 40 against 37. Archers are probably just going to kite backwards, and it looks like the Archers actually got the Brimstone guns, which decided to kind of stay still for a while. And then Squig Hoppers are just going to come in on the other side while the Slayers are getting shot in the back, and it's going to be a very, very bad trade. As a matter of fact, like a Savage Orc versus Slayer, that would be, Savage Orcs only cost 550, Slayers cost like several hundred more, like 7, 8, 900, something in that range, can't quite remember. But yeah, overall, it's a big down trade for Slayers. And another Slayer unit's going to be coming in, but there are some Orc Boys moving into support. We do see the dreaded Dragon Slayer, extremely, extremely cost effective here. He does have his anti-large beat stick, and he's going to be trying to take this Orc Shaman to Pound Town, so the Dwarves do have a hero out. I must have missed him earlier, but we could watch this glorious duel of fate. And perhaps this Orc Shaman wronged one of his ancestors, although the Dwarves, there's plenty of grudges against Greenskins, so I don't think he needs to find an excuse. So he's trying to run away, and the Orc Warboy is going to be saving him, charging into the Dragon Slayer. High ground, the problem is when Dwarves are trying to contest like objectives on a very wide open map like this, like with individual units, they don't have the speed to reinforce those units. So if they get caught out by a counter, they're just basically dead, right? So if like the Dwarves send 2 infantry units over to capture this, like 2 miners, so the Greenskins can send a 300 gold Squig herd, and it'll probably win that fight, or at least trade extremely well. Dragon Slayer in the middle, tar pitted a little bit, and we do see the Dwarves making a play for this objective, and it looks like their Slayers might finally get there. Night Goblin Fanatics coming out, so the Night Goblins, and this is great, because Slayers hit very hard, but they're designed to kill large targets. Their counter is typically like a swarming type unit, right? So the Night Goblins will uptrade into the Slayers turbo well, especially if they have some Fanatics to lose. And their Greenskins are still holding on to this point. I don't know if the Dwarves are going to have enough kind of time to get these back. It seems like they got spread a little bit thin, making plays from multiple sides, whereas it might have been the better idea. It's hard to say. Housecat's a much better player than I am. But perhaps, with my God observer here, just being able to watch and, see it in hindsight, maybe if the Dwarves just like hunkered down and played only like 2 objectives or something. That's not to say this game's over. I mean, the Dwarves do have a lot of like mass here between the Slayers and Miners, but their gyrocopters are going to run out of steam, quite literally. They're going to run out of ammunition. We got 2 gyrocopters being unsummoned. That's going to give the Greenskins a really big momentum shift on the battlefield overall. So we see Orc Arrow Boys on their way in. Greenskins somewhat numerous in the middle. That Dragon Slayer character is going to be tough to deal with, but there is a healthy Fanatic unit coming in. Dwarves do have some troopers here. Looks like they're heading to the middle as these Squigs, wow, they rally at the last second. That Brimstone gun, even like both gyros that got caught just barely got away and came back and pretty much got their full value, which is nuts. Yeah, Squig Herd should be able to rally back towards Objective 1 and make sure that's safe. And now it's for the Greenskins making sure the Dwarf Tide isn't able to secure the other objectives in time. And here on the side, we do see the Savage Orcs with the capture weight advantage. Arrow Boys coming in, Goblins coming in. Just hordes and hordes of little gremlins are preparing to party. So the Slayer's trying to bust through, and it looks like they do. They got their Choppas out. They're showing the Greenskins the meeting of Choppas as they hunt down these Orc Boys and do a lot of work. The Fanatics are loose. It's giving me a flashback to getting wrecked by Fanatics in a recent tabletop tournament. Good times. But they do get some Dwarves on the way in, but Goblins, yeah, Goblins love fighting Slayers. That's what it's all about right there. It's going to take Slayers a long time to get through the 160 models. High ground Dwarves might be able to do a little something. They do get some troops back, but just a bit of a lapse by Leechlord here. But when he gets these Squigs back online, but is he going to get there quick enough is the question. Yeah, we see a Vanguard of Squig Herds called out. He is going to lose his objective, but he's likely going to get it back pretty quickly when the other Squigs do arrive. Down here, we do see the middle objective being swarmed by the villainous Dowie. So the Longbeards and Miners of Blasting Charge is heading to objective number 2. And objective number 3, it looks like it is owned by the Dwarves with the Greenskins with their rapid push. Jerkid Squig Hoppers and Night Goblin Fanatics going to be punishing the very low quality Dwarven units, but there are blasting charges coming in via the Ekron's Miners. If the Ekron's Miners get like a really erect blasting charge on the face of the Jerkid Squig Hoppers, that could be a game changer, which might be able to get Housecat back in the game because, man, he is flipping a lot of these objectives. Looking on the high ground here, the Dwarves probably going to get this one. It still is owned by Greenskins. Nope, it's flipped. And the Squig Herds fighting it out with the remnants of the Orc Boys, so they're trying their best to get this. I think the Squigs will eventually win this fight and push off all the Dwarves, though, so you can kind of count this for a late-game objective there. But what a close game between these two mighty champions. And, who doesn't love a good old Greenskin Dwarf matchup? It's always fun. It's like watching the Dwarves versus Cave and all that's a little bit more one-sided. But, yeah, this one's always, pretty even these days. I mean, probably a little bit Dwarf favored, honestly, with the Gyrocopter changes, but yeah, it's still a good matchup. It always makes for a good time. So here we have the Night Goblin War Boss. He's a respectable little fighter, duking it out with the Dragon Slayer. But even Dwarven heroes are oftentimes stronger than Greenskin Lords if they're not like Grimgor or like Azak or something like that. And the Dragon Slayer is hunting down that Night Goblin War Boss. He's only got 35 speed. Dragon Slayer's got 42. A Lord kill would be just a backbreaker here. That would be super strong. But Greenskins need to get an objective back stat. They need to get back in this game and get those victory tickets counting. Otherwise, the Dwarves and their tenacity might be able to get back in this game here. Squig's still nibbling here. Yep, we got these Squig Herds just chewing through the Dwarves. And Orc Boys and Fanatics getting a nice flank here will probably lead to the Dwarf position breaking. And objective number 3 does go to the Greenskins. So do the Greenskins Helms deep it? Looks like the Orc Shaman was able to get away. That's very, very clutch. And the Night Goblin War Boss, was he hunted and killed? I think he might have been. Let's take a look at the leadership. No, I think he got away somewhere. Where did he go? Oh, he's alive. All right. So he managed to squeak away there. And he did use some of his little mushroom people to get Belegar. Belegar just chasing with the rage erection. He's just coming in with the vengeance. He's definitely more vengeful than the average dwarf. And he is going to be hunting down that Night Goblin War Boss right there who's sitting at a very, very low amount of HP. Belegar could probably 3-shot him. That would probably be the case. But as we predicted, the high ground objective is going to be going to the Greenskins. We do see objective number 3 in the clutches of the Greenskins pretty firmly. Very good play here from Leechlord using the Squig Herds to chase down the Dwarf Warriors and keep these Slayers at bay and keep them from advancing on. High ground, we got Orc Boys as well as Savage Orcs heading to the objective here. This one is going to start flipping very rapidly as soon as these Dwarvish units do break. And I think that is going to be all she wrote for the Dowie. I don't see too many ways for them to get back, but it's always nice to see that, the Gyrocopter swarms can be beaten. Dwarves are definitely a top 5 faction right now. Greenskins are actually in the lower echelon of factions after some of the nerfs they got in previous patches, but still, I think are a very good faction. I just think that people, the real sweats kind of dropped Greenskins and are playing other factions now, and that kind of led to the Greenskin win rate being falsely deflated. Because now it's mostly casual or newer players or intermediate players playing them in tournaments. But I still think Greenskins are a top tier faction. I think they're very good. Not like S tier, but certainly like, B plus, A minus, like somewhere in that ballpark when played properly. So that was nice. Yeah, the rampages were cool. And of course, Squigs. Yeah, Squigs are the counter against Dwarves in general. They're super good against them. So that was what performed. And for the Dwarves, we got to see the evil Air Force. Yeah, the steam gyros are the problem, right? Like they literally just, even if you chase them or shoot them, they're just going to get their value. The flamethrower ones are a little bit more balanced, but we found that 2 is kind of a sweet spot for the steam gyros. Thunderbarch, I wonder how Thunderbarch would do in this matchup. Yeah, it'd be interesting. It can't land in melee, so it's not like rampaging it would do much. Looking at the bolt thrower, 500 value. Iron Drakes got good value until they got shut down, and the Slayer Pirates, of course, always nice with their debuffs, but they did end up down trading value-wise. Yeah, GG, well played. I think more the Dwarf meta these days is also the hero squads. Like Dwarf Hero Hammer squads are really nasty. That's like what you run into a lot in tournaments. But yeah, GG, well played to these mighty champions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that Grudge match, and I'm sure the Dwarves will be back to settle that one another day.